This week we will cover Chapter 7, Interviewing and Interrogating, Witnesses and Suspects. Law enforcement officers conduct interviews to secure information, give information, and influence behavior. Interviewers should always prepare carefully, maintain control, listen, be alert and patient, and be a good actor. The interrogating process involves 1. Direct confrontation of a suspect with a synopsis of the events. 2. Theme development of a justification for committing the crime. 3. Denial elimination to avoid evasion by the suspect. 4. Objection elimination to allow the suspect to see the facts. And 5. Attention getting to gain the suspect's trust. Ultimately, a confession should occur. Preparation for interviewing and interrogation should include reviewing case information, background information, and personal information. To obtain case information, do the following. Review a copy of the incident report. Review all photographs of the scene. Review the information obtained from other interviews. And identify key information. To obtain background information for the incident, review the following. Review prior arrests. Interview arresting officers. And review prior interviews. Obtaining information of a personal nature about the suspect may give you some insight. Specifically, you will need to know the age, date of birth, where the suspect was born, where he or she has lived, and the conditions under which he or she has lived. Identify the suspect's likes and dislikes, and identify the suspect's marital status, the number of children he or she has, and the children's names if possible, and the suspect's parental information. Interviews can occur in 2 types of settings. The first is informal. This may be a casual conversation with a witness or an interview with a suspect in a police car. The second is formal. This is the on-site interview of a suspect at the police department. Officers use different types of questions. First, there are closed questions which have a yes or no answer. Second, there are open questions, and there are many types of these. Reflective questions involve paraphrasing what the suspect has said. Directive questions illustrate some kind of common ground between the questioner and the questionee. Pointed questions are complex, detailed, and persuasive. Indirect questions help interviewees express opinions, suggestions, or feelings. Self-appraisal questions are used to stimulate more conversation. Diversion questions are used to distract or to build rapport. And leading questions can help build rapport, but they can also elicit unreliable information. Some principles of effective question development include: use open questions when appropriate. Use closed questions when appropriate. Always keep questions simple. Avoid third-degree type questions. Ask leading questions where appropriate. Ask tough questions. And ask self-appraisal questions. When questioning suspects, you must be aware of the legal issues. Try to avoid false confessions due to misclassification errors, coercion errors, contamination errors, and disabling or limiting conditions. These are discussed on pages 156 to 158 of your textbook. There are 3 types of false confessions: voluntary, compliant, and persuaded. First, voluntary false confessions occur when the suspect simply confesses with no police interrogation involved. Second, compliant false confessions occur when police coerce, stress, or pressure the suspect. And third, persuaded false confessions occur when the suspect doubts their own memory and are persuaded by police that they committed the crime. You can prove that a confession is false by objectively establishing that the suspect confessed to a crime that did not occur, objectively establishing that the suspect could not have committed the crime due to physical impossibility, identifying the true perpetrator of the crime and objectively establishing their guilt, and providing scientific evidence. When the interview has reached its termination point, you can end the interaction by telling the interviewee you may contact them for a follow-up interview or making an appointment for a second interview. If you feel they are guilty, you can move from interviewing them to interrogating them by confronting them about inconsistencies in their story or attempting to gain a confession. Your interview critique assignment involves watching a video of an actual interview and analyzing it. The interview critique grading rubric checks to see if you have critiqued the content of the interview. You will need to examine the informal interview setting, the types and use of interview questions, the techniques of the primary interviewer, the verbal communication of the interviewee, and the nonverbal communication of the interviewee. Your critique should have an effective introduction and conclusion. The organization of the body paragraphs, the previews, the summaries, and the transitions should be effective. Good word choice, sentence structure, grammar, and mechanics should be evident. The APA style of referencing should be used to cite the textbook and the video.